Kishore Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Marini Gaurnitai Ki Jai. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshutarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Jaya Jaya Gaura Chandil Arati Kushobha Jana Vidatavane Jaga Nikate Advaitashi Vasa Chatradhara Hoshi Ache Gaura Chan Ratna Simhasane Gaura Chan Ratna Simhasane Arati Korena Brahma Adi Devagane Arati Korena Brahma Adi Devagane Nara Hari Adi Gori Chamaradulaya Sanjaya Mukunda Vasu Gosayati Gaya Shankha Baje Ganta Baje Baje Karatala Prakati Vinodare Gaurara Sampada Shiva Jayo Jayo Gaura Chandir Arati Shobha Jayo Jayo Gaura Chandir Arati Shobha Jana Vidatavane Jagaman Lobha Javane Jagaman Lobha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori. Jaya Kishore Kishori, Kishore Kishori, Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladev, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladev, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai. Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada.
Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Jayam Vishnupat Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Ashtotara Shatashimad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnupat Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Ashtotara Shatashimad. His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brinda ki, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki, Prince Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivash Adi Gaura Bhakta Brinda ki, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath, Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhana ki, Sri Vrindavan Dhama ki, Sri Mayapurna Badvi Dhama ki, Purushottam Kshetra Sri Jagannath Puri Dhama ki, Ganga Mayi Yamuna Mayi ki, Bhakti Devi Shrimati Tulsi Maharani ki, their most beautiful Lordship Shri Kishore Kishori ki, Paramakaruna, their most merciful Lordship Shri Gauranitai ki, their most merciful Lordship Sri Jagannath Sri Baladev Shrimati Shubhadra Maharani ki, Sri Sri Radha Damodara ki, Sri Kartik Brada ki, Sri Harinam Sankirtan Jagya ki, Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to Shishi Guru and Shigauranga.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Pralada Dadaine. Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha. Silatankala-kalaye. Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha. Yato yato yamitato Narsimha. Vahe Narsimha Hridaye Narsimha. Narasimha Malim Saranam Prapade. Tavakara Kamalavare Nakamadbhuta Singham Ralita Hiranyakasipu Tanavena Kesavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisa Hare Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Narsimha Dev, Jaya Narsimha Dev. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Narsimhadev Bhagwan ki, Prahlad Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanande.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Looks like we have outnumbered the ladies. Men are more here than the women. So, most of our leaders in the temple here are vacationing in Vrindavan. So here I am. They asked me to make the announcement. So the Kartik month is still going on. So there's a lot, if you have been not following some vows or some tapasya, so you still have about a week left to do so. Because next Monday, is the last day of Kartik. So whatever little time that is left in this auspicious month, we humbly request and beg all of you to chant Hare Krishna as much as you can, read Srimad Bhagavatam, associate with devotees, and honor lots of prasadam. So today we have Rajiv, Bhakta Rajiv, a very young and dynamic devotee of our congregation who's going to be making a presentation. I'm not sure if you know him. He's the son of Stoka Krishna Prabhu and Manasi Ganga Mataji. I always get confused. Manasi Ganga Mataji. So they've been practicing Krishna consciousness for more than 2 decades. And it is by their mercy, their blessings, that they've been able to groom and nurture their 2 wonderful kids, Rajiv and Neha. So Rajiv is here going to be making a short presentation about Krishna consciousness. Immediately following his presentation, we're going to be having a wonderful play. The play is about Govardhan festival. We were supposed to have this play last week, but as some of you could imagine, the chaos that was going on here. So we decided to do it here the following week. So the kids will be performing the play at 6 o'clock. It will go on from 6 to 6:30. And after 6:30, there's going to be prasadam. So please stay tuned and let us all welcome and encourage and offer our best wishes to Rajiv, who's going to be speaking this evening on the topic of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
So just because we only have about 30 minutes or so, I might actually just skip over Jairana Madhava. Also because my voice isn't doing so well. So all right, Hare Krishna everyone. So as you might have seen from the invite for today, today's topic is around gearing for spiritual success. And what that really means is just looking at how to set goals that will help you with your spiritual life. And so what I wanted to do was actually take everybody through just a few background slides, really, on why setting goals make sense, what are goals that can make sense for you spiritually, and then we'll actually go through a short exercise where we'll be splitting into groups and then creating goals for ourselves. So, how many of you in the audience have set goals before? Like set a New Year's resolution, done some sort of goal-setting phase at work, something like that? Pretty much everybody, right? For those of you who set something like a New Year's resolution, how many of you have kept it the entire year? 2 people, maybe 3. It's a really low number though, right? Because you think at the beginning of the year we set a goal and we try to strive to actually finish and actually seek out and actually achieve that goal, but then we fall short. Why might that be the case? That's what we'll talk through. It may not actually be a very goal, like a goal that you set in a very proper manner. And actually being able to do that is a skill, and that's something that I'd like to be able to teach everyone in order for you guys to take that back. And then, as Balaram Prabhu said, at the end of this Kartik month, maybe for the next week, just try something out. Try setting a goal, or set a goal for next Kartik, or set a goal for the next month, or however long that may be. We'll take a look for now, and then also 2 years from now. So, that's kind of the overall setting the stage on what we're doing. So, what is a goal? The dictionary definition is at the top over there. The object of a person's ambition or effort, an aim, or desired result. And so the idea of a goal is quite simple. You're just setting an intention, and you're trying to achieve that intention. What does that have to do with spiritual life at all? Well, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we have this verse over here, and I'll just read the translation. Any person who desires the fruits of the 4 principles, religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and, at the end, liberation, should engage himself in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for worship of his lotus feet yields the fulfillment of all of these. And so, this idea is that there are really only 4 sets of goals, truly, that fit in each of these categories. If you're trying to get something material, you're going to go for something for sense gratification or economic development or just more base level religiosity or something like that. But after going through all of these goals, we may find that we're not actually satisfied with even meeting or achieving these goals. And so at the end, it's really we need to go for something, a higher goal, something that is outside of the realm of the material world. Even if we're not at that stage, even if we're still striving for something that is a material goal, in this verse it says we should still pursue that goal in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or Krishna, is the one who actually can help fulfill those goals. So even if you're trying to fulfill something more material, more basal, then it's still better to put that in relation to Krishna, because he himself can actually fulfill that. There's descriptions given where people actually go after the demigods or some other deities of some sort to actually ask for something. But the reality of it is, those same personalities who we may ask for something else still have to go through Krishna in order to fulfill that in the first place. And so this verse in the first place is just saying, set these goals in relation to the Supreme, because inevitably, when you are done with kind of figuring out all these material things, you can still put the same non-material and more aspirational, liberational goal towards that same Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he will help you to achieve it. So, when we're thinking about setting spiritual goals, there's a few things that we want to pay attention to. The first of which is this idea of making sure that these goals are relevant to you. Now, when we look at the progression of spiritual life, one of the first questions that comes up is, who am I? And this idea of us not being the material body that we're in, this Indian body or American body or whoever we are, man or woman or whatever, but instead being the spiritual soul. And so, therefore, we should put goals that are in relation to our benefit as a spiritual soul, not necessarily to just benefit ourselves in whatever body that we find ourselves in. And so there are certain things that you can take a look at when you're setting these goals. And so one of which is your purpose. So what is the purpose of you setting this goal? What is your intention? What are you trying to do? Like, what are your values that you actually are pulled towards? When you're setting your goals or creating your goals, it's very important to tie them back to these topics, because then that goal becomes something that is A, meaningful to you, and B, can also help you progress in whatever endeavor you're trying. So in this case, we're trying to progress spiritually. So we're trying to set goals that have some sort of spiritual slant. In fact, when we look at Lord Brahma, when he was sitting on the lotus flower that led down to Lord Vishnu's navel, the first question that he actually asked was, who am I? And then the second question he asked is, where does this lotus leaf lead to? And so accordingly, he had set himself also a goal to figure out, okay, who am I? What is in relation to me? What is down here? And then accordingly had gone forth and then eventually found out that Lord Vishnu was where he was coming from and that he is meant to serve him. So I'd like you to maybe take a couple minutes to split into a few groups. If you can split into groups of 10 people, find just 10 people near you. It doesn't necessarily all have to be like men and women if there's not enough. But if you can find a group of 10 people around you and sit into a circle, you can move yourselves now into a circle of 10 people each. If there's an 11 somewhere, that's okay. And the reason I'm suggesting 10 is because we're going to do an activity where we would like some confidentiality. And so if we have just like 4 or 5 people, it might be a little bit easier if you would, if someone wants to figure something out. So if you don't mind, if you can actually find a group of 10 proper. So Yashodanandan Prabhu is going to be walking around with a few pieces of paper and a few pens. You don't need to use them right now. I just wanted to make sure you guys are in a group right now, so that way then we can at least, when I get to the exercise, we'll be ready. So as we're setting up, I wanted to just explain a little bit more about how to actually set the spiritual goals that you'd like to set. One of the key things is to pay attention to where you've been. Like, where in the past are you coming from? For some of us, this may be the very first time that we're setting foot in a temple. This may be the very first time that we're seeing something related to Krishna consciousness. That's okay. Think about where you were like a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, something like that. And think about where you've come since then to here. For some of us who have been devotees for a long time, we can think back. What was your life like before becoming a devotee? Compared to what your life is now that you've been a practitioner for some time. Then, the second part is to look forward. And it's also a question about where are you going? What are you striving for? What are you aspiring for? For some people, it may be something like aspiring for initiation. For some people, it may be aspiring to meet some level of sadhana or spiritual practice. For some people, it may be trying to go something even deeper in some specific way. And so the idea is that we need to both compare where we've been in the past, because that grounds us in reality for what we have done, and then also take a look at what's going to happen in the future and what we'd like to achieve, which will then ground us in what we'd like to do in the future. So, for those of you who have been in the corporate world or who have done something like this, you might be familiar with the idea of SMART goals. SMART goals, or S-M-A-R-T goals, are goals that have these 5 elements. So the first of which is S, or specific goals. So the goal that you have needs to be something specific. It can't just be, I'd like to be Krishna conscious. It's a good goal, sure, but it's not very specific, because that doesn't tell me much about how you'd like to be Krishna conscious, or what specifically you'd like. within Krishna consciousness. The next thing is M, or measurable. So in that same goal, I'd like to be Krishna conscious. There's no real sense of being able to measure that success. How do you measure the fact that you're Krishna conscious? You don't know just by looking at the word and the phrase or that goal, I'd like to be Krishna conscious. Instead, maybe you'd like to add in a time frame, or you'd like to add in being able to chant a certain number of rounds, or read a certain number of books, or something like that. Something to be able to help you measure it and also show how successful you are against that goal. The next one is the letter A, for attainable. This is why we looked at the previous slide, where we were before. And it's this idea that we need a goal that we can actually achieve. If this is our very first day, it is maybe not a reasonable goal that we can say, let's chant 128 rounds every day for the rest of our lives, having never chanted before. That may be a little difficult. Maybe not. You know yourselves better than I do. For certain people, it's being able to figure out something that actually makes sense. It's taking yourself a little bit further and being able to create a goal that you know that you can achieve. The next letter is R, or relevant. And so when we look at a goal, it should also be relevant to what we're trying to achieve. So if we're trying to say that I'm going to be a CEO of a company, that may not be relevant towards our spiritual advancement. It may be in some way. I personally don't see, there's probably some way, but just that specific goal doesn't necessarily tell us how that's very relevant to your spiritual goals. And so your goal, when you're setting your goal for your spiritual intentions and trying to progress spiritually, should also be tied right back into relevance into spirituality. It should be a spiritual goal if you're trying to go for a spiritual result. Finally is the letter T, or time-bound. Time-bound gives you some sort of temporal time. It enwraps and envelops the actual goal into something that you can actually finish within a certain amount of time. Now, we can say that, okay, let's do something within the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, but that's still some sort of time-bound to be able to help you know that you have this amount of time to finish it. When we look at research and how people actually complete goals or actually complete activities, if you give them a certain amount of time, 50% of that work only really happens in the second half of that time allotted. And that's generally something that you see in a lot of team research. And so when you're looking at putting a time frame in there in the first place, that helps people be able to say, I have a limited amount of resources, limited amount of time to be able to finish something, so therefore it increases the amount of focus that we have on the specific goal. So, SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound, SMART goals. Many times this is, again, as I mentioned, used in a more corporate setting, but there's no reason why you can't also use it for spiritual goals. So let's look at an example. So when we look at a SMART spiritual goal, we take a look at how does this goal actually align to something that we're trying to develop, either because we're lacking in something or because we're trying to strengthen something even further. We're also trying to see and take a look at how can we actually measure this goal and see that we were successful. Because if we set a goal and there's no way that we can tell if we were successful or not, we'll probably mark ourselves as successful, even though there may not be a really objective way to be able to tell if we succeeded or not. The other thing is this goal needs to be valuable. So as I said, it's attainable and it's relevant. So it's valuable to your life. It actually adds to your spiritual growth. And then finally, has some sort of way that you can actually attain this goal. So in this I gave this example, I just came up with this. So this goal reads, this year's month of Kartik, October 15th through November 13th, I want to make sure I attend the Sunday Feast program every week. I will do this by making sure I am not traveling over the weekend nor scheduling anything for Sunday evening. This will help me to strengthen my relationships with the devotees and more consistently hear about Krishna. So let's take this apart very quickly and see where are the S, M, A, R, and T in this goal. So the specificity or the specificness of this goal is kind of embedded across it all. So you can see it's a very specific goal. It's, I want to be able to go to the Sunday Feast program every week. It's measurable because we can measure. There's only 4 or 5 weeks or so, 5, 6 weeks within the Kartik month. We can measure, okay, out of the 5, 6 weeks, I went 5 or 6 times. We can see that it's attainable because it is something that we are being very reasonable about. We know that life may happen outside of the week, and so you may consider those things and try to move them outside of the day of Sunday. Then we have, it's relevant because it's allowing us to strengthen the relationships with the devotees, which is an admirable goal within the month of Kartik, and then also consistently, because it's every Sunday, hear about Krishna. Finally, we have this time bound, or T. So it tells us that yes, within these 4 or 5 weeks of Kartik, this is what I want to do. And so this kind of goal, as simple as it may be, is still something that is much more likely to be followed all the way through and successfully done, rather than just saying, I'd like to be more spiritual. So let's take a look at an exercise. So we're actually just going to do one thing there. So if you can, within your groups, please look at your papers and write something on your own. This should be completely confidential. And write a goal for yourself. So write yourself a goal that you think of where you are and where you want to be within 2 years, spiritually, using the techniques that we just talked about, the SMART goals, S-M-A-R-T, and I'll put that up in a minute so you guys have some time. But if we can take maybe about 3 or 4 minutes to think about a goal and where you would like to be in the next 2 years with your spiritual life, write it down on your piece of paper, and then put it face down in the center. Mix it all up, so that way nobody knows whose is whose. Okay, so let's take a couple minutes to go ahead and do that. If you don't feel comfortable with sharing anybody else, that's okay too. You can also just write it for yourself. So maybe take another minute or so to finish writing your aspirational goal for the next 2 years. Where you'd like to see yourself in the next 2 years spiritually. Okay, if you can finish up writing your sentences, and then put it face down in the middle, so that way they're completely confidential, and mix them up. And go ahead and shuffle them around. And then for good measure, shuffle them one more time. Okay, now if you can randomly give each of the people that's in your group just somebody else's goals. Basically, you're going to give them another piece of paper, and hopefully it won't be their own. Okay? If you have someone who's shared, try to switch with at least 2 or 3 different people, so that way you can mix it up a bit. Okay, so now that you have someone else's goals, take a look at it and maybe give a few comments on it. Do you think that it is something that is specific, measurable, relevant, achievable, well, attainable, relevant, and time-bound, smart? Do you think it's a goal that you can that actually might be something that is useful for their spiritual life, something that you might be able to take a look at? You can even add a note for them for something, how you may be able to help them to achieve that goal as well. So if it's a goal that you think that you've seen in the past, or you think you might have a way to actually help them, add a note for them. This is supposed to be helpful for the individual. And then once you're done adding your comments, if you could put it back in the middle one more time. Once you're done, again, put it in the middle, so that way we then can keep people's confidentiality just in the pile, and then mix it up, and then just try to find your own after that. So that way we don't know who originally wrote the goal, nor do we know who wrote your feedback. Hopefully you guys should be receiving back your original goals now, along with the comments that you received. And because we're running short on time, I'll just ask you maybe to take a look at this just after the Sunday feast and see if the goal that you wrote can get stronger because of the comments that people gave you. And if the goal that you look at again, you can also see, can you change the goal to make it something that's a bit stronger, to make it more smart, more something that has that specificity, the measurability, that attainability, that relevance, or the ability to be time-bound? So, now that you have your goals back, I do wish you the absolute best with achieving these goals. And I hope that this actually helps you set you up for spiritual success. This is the month of Kartik, and generally people take vows or set goals specifically during this month. And so hopefully that this goal that you've set will be able to help, you'll be able to achieve that within the next few years, in the next couple Kartiks. So I think everybody else is ready for the drama. So I will pretty much end here. If you have any questions or anything that you'd like to discuss, you can probably talk to me afterwards. But for now, if we could maybe face forward for the drama that's about to begin. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
That's